Hi everyone, thanks for watching my videos. For latest updates, please subscribe my channel Arvind Educations or Arvind Biology Classes. Here today we are going to discuss about human digestive system. Different organisms procure their nutrients in different ways. So the process of procuring nutrients is called nutrition. Nutrient is any organic substance which oxidizes and releases energy. So we will discuss today human digestive system. So human digestive system consists of alimentary canal and digestive glands. So in part 1 we are going to discuss about the structure of alimentary canal. So before I start the structure of alimentary canal, we will see the definition of digestion. So the process of breakdown of complex substances into simpler substances, or the process of breakdown of undiffusible substances into diffusible substances, or unabsorbable substances into absorbable substances, is called digestion. Generally, we human beings used to consume three major ingredients. They are carbohydrates, proteins and fats. So carbohydrates are ended up with glucose, the simpler substance is glucose. Proteins ended up with amino acids, and fats are ended up with fatty acids. So here carbohydrates are converted to glucose with the help of amylolytic enzymes. Proteins are converted into amino acids with the help of proteolytic enzymes. Fats are converted into fatty acids with the help of lipolytic enzymes. So before I start the concept, we should know 3-4 characteristics of enzymes. So enzyme is a biocatalyst, can be used again and again. Enzyme is a protein which can be destroyed on heating. Enzymes are better active at a particular pH. Enzymes are better active at an optimum temperature. Enzymes are substrate specific in nature. They used to form similar kind of end products always. Okay, so here before I enter into the concept alimentary canal, let us see the diagram. So here human digestive system alimentary canal possess these parts. So alimentary canal is a tube-like structure which starts with mouth and ends with anus. Starts with mouth and ends with anus. So mouth, buccal cavity, pharynx, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, rectum and anus. So these are the various parts we are going to discuss under alimentary canal. In part B, we are going to see the mechanism of digestion and the digestive glands which are associated with that. Okay, so let us first see mouth. Mouth is a slit-like partition which includes lips, tongue, teeth and buccal cavity. Lips just helps in sucking, sipping and speaking. Buccal cavity is the empty place present in the mouth where the floor of the buccal cavity possesses tongue and roof of the buccal cavity possesses hard palate. Then regarding human teeth, so human teeth are heterodont, diffeodont and thecodont in nature. Human teeth are heterodont, diffeodont and thecodont in nature. Then we should see the meaning of these three technical terms. Let us see first one, heterodont. Human teeth are heterodont means human possess four types of teeth. Four types of teeth. They are incisors, canines, premolars and molars. Incisors are sharp and broad. They helps in cutting and biting. Canines are sharp and pointed and they are responsible for holding and tearing. Premolars are bicuspid in nature, and they are responsible for grinding and crushing. Molars are tricuspid in nature, and they are also responsible for grinding and crushing. That means human possess four types of teeth, and all the four types of teeth they are different in size, they are different in structure and they are different in function. Incisors, the front teeth, are sharp and broad. They are responsible for cutting and biting. Canines are sharp and pointed. They are responsible for holding and tearing. And premolars and molars, they are principal grinders. Premolars are bicuspid in nature. Two projections are there. And molars are tricuspid in nature. Three projections are there. They are responsible to crush and grind the food. Okay. Next, then humans teeth are diffeodont in nature. Diffeodont means humans possess two sets of teeth. They are milk teeth and permanent teeth. Milk teeth are also called as temporary teeth, are also called as deciduous teeth. Permanent teeth are called successional teeth. So milk teeth or temporary teeth or deciduous teeth seen in the children started developing at the age of 6 to 11 months and will be replaced by permanent teeth at the age of 8 to 12 years, in between 8 to 12 years. Permanent teeth are permanent in nature. Okay, so here in the case of milk teeth, they are seen in the case of children. They are seen in the case of children, and child possess 20 total number of teeth. Adults possess 32 teeth. So there is a specific dental formula is there to explain the number of teeth present in human beings. Okay, so let us see in the case of first adult. Okay, adult dental formula is 2123 by 2123. That means 2 by 2 by 2 by 2, 1 by 1, 2 by 2 and 3 by 3. So the first two are incisors, then one is canine, 2 are premolars and 3 are molars. So human adult possess 32 teeth. Dental formula is 2123 by 2123. To consider dental formula, we should consider upper and lower jaw, and we have to divide it. So this is right part of the upper jaw, left part of the upper jaw, right part of the lower jaw, left part of the lower jaw. So two incisors. So these two are incisors, sharp and broad. Then there is one canine, sharp and pointed. Then two premolars, bicuspid, and then 3 molars which are tricuspid, 3 molars. Okay, so 2 incisors, 1 canine, 2 premolars, 3 molars. So 2 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3, total 8 teeth on left part of the upper jaw. Same kind of arrangement is there even the right part of the upper jaw. So 2 incisors, 1 canine, 2 premolars and 3 molars. So total upper jaw possesses 16 teeth. In the same fashion, even the lower jaw also possesses similar kind of arrangement. 2 incisors, 1 canine, 2 premolars and 3 molars. So 8 in the left part of the lower jaw and 8 in the right part of the lower jaw. So even lower jaw also possesses 16. So total 32 teeth. Whereas in the case of child, the dental formula is 2102 by 2102. That means incisors, canines and 2 molars are present, premolars are completely absent. So 2 plus 1 plus 2, 5 plus 5, 10 and 10. So total number of teeth in the case of children are 20. So different organisms possess different dental formula. It is not similar in everybody's case. For example, you consider the case of rat. It is just 1003 by 1003. Okay, in the case of rat, it is 1003 by 1003. That means 4 and 4, 8 and 8, 16 teeth. Whereas consider the case of rabbit. Rabbit dental formula is 2033 by 1023. Okay, that means upper jaw possess 2 plus 3 plus 3 plus 8 means 16 teeth are present in upper jaw, whereas lower jaw possess 1 plus 2 plus 3, 6 means 12. So total number of teeth in the case of rabbit is 28. So upper jaw, lower jaw do not possess a similar arrangement of teeth. Okay, then even consider one more point here. In the case of rabbit, incisors, canines, premolars and molars. So canines are completely absent. So the space which is created due to the absence of teeth in the case of rabbit is called diastema. So the space which is created due to the absence of teeth is called diastema. Okay, so here the arrangement of teeth is not similar among organisms. first point. Then arrangement of teeth in upper jaw, lower jaw is also not similar always. Then let me repeat, human teeth are heterodont, diffeodont, thecodont in nature. Heterodont human possess 4 types of teeth. They are incisors, canines, premolars and molars. Incisors are sharp and broad, responsible for cutting and biting. Canines are sharp and pointed, helps in holding and tearing. Premolars are bicuspid, they are responsible for grinding and crushing, and molars are tricuspid, they are also responsible for grinding and crushing. And diffeodont means human possess 2 sets of teeth, milk teeth and permanent teeth. Milk teeth seen in the case of children, the total number of teeth are 20. The dental formula is 2102 by 2102. Whereas permanent teeth are seen in the case of adults, number of teeth are 32 and the dental formula is 2123 by 2123. Okay. Then thecodont. The teeth are permanently fixed in the sockets of jawbone, then such type of teeth are called as thecodont. Okay, and different other organisms, they may not possess heterodont. For example, in the case of lizard and frog, all types of teeth are similar in shape and size. That's why the teeth present in lizard and frog are called homodont. Okay, so let us see the structure of individual tooth. Let us see internal structure of a tooth. Okay, tooth possesses 3 parts: crown, root and neck. The part of the tooth which is exposed outside is called crown. The part of the tooth which is fixed in the jawbone is called root, and that middle portion is called neck region. Let us see its internal structure. Let us see the parts of tooth. The portion of the tooth which is exposed outside, this is called crown. The portion of the tooth which is there inside the gum is called root, and then the middle portion is called neck. So here bulk of the tooth is made up of a hard substance. This hard substance is called dentine. Dentine is covered with this particular structure. This is called enamel. Enamel is harder than dentine, and the hardest substance in the human body is enamel. Inside the dentine, there is an empty space. The empty space present inside the dentine is called pulp cavity, and pulp cavity is filled with several blood vessels and nerves. Blood vessels and nerves. Then the base of the dentine is fixed inside the root with the help of a connecting substance. This connecting substance is called cementum, and this is fixed in the jawbone. This is called jawbone. This is called jawbone. Okay, and this is gum. Right? The portion of the tooth which is fixed inside the gum is called root. The portion of the tooth which is exposed outside is called crown. And the tooth is the maximum structure of the tooth is made up of a harder substance called dentine, and dentine is covered with enamel, and the empty space present inside the tooth is called pulp cavity, which is filled with blood vessels and nerves. And the base of the dentine is fixed inside the jawbone with the help of cementum. Okay. Then once we see the structure of tooth, let us see the structures present inside the mouth. As I told you previously, mouth possesses lips, tongue, buccal cavity and teeth. Regarding tongue is a muscular movable structure attached posteriorly inside the lower jaw. Then this particular tongue helps in chewing as well as mixing food with saliva. It helps in mastication, it helps in speech, and tongue possesses several taste buds which helps in tasting the nature of the food. Tongue also helps in swallowing. Okay, then after that we have to see the pharynx. The second portion is called pharynx. Pharynx is the common passage for food and air. Pharynx is the common passage for food and air. It possesses two parts, nasopharynx and oropharynx. Nasopharynx just behind this nasal cavity opens into that, and oropharynx present just behind the mouth, buccal cavity opens into it. Glottis and epiglottis, the two structures which are present there, will prevent the entry of food into trachea, windpipe. Then we have to continue with esophagus. Okay, esophagus is a long, narrow tube-like structure which connects throat and stomach, approximately 25 centimeters in length, and it conducts food from throat to stomach through peristaltic movements. So the process of contraction and relaxation of circular and longitudinal muscles through which the food in the form of bolus pass from buccal cavity into stomach, that kind of movements are called as peristaltic movements. Okay, so esophagus is commonly called as food pipe. Then let us see the next part, stomach. Stomach is a J-shaped muscular sac-like structure which is located in the left upper part just below the diaphragm, which is responsible to store the food for time being. The stomach possesses digestive glands, the so-called gastric glands. With the help of gastric glands, it helps in the process of digestion. Stomach is muscular and it churns the food, and which opens into small intestine. The first part of small intestine is duodenum, with the help of a sphincter which is present here, so-called pyloric sphincter. Okay, then the next part is small intestine. Small intestine is the largest part of the alimentary canal. The actual length of alimentary canal, which is started from mouth to and ends with anus, the length of the alimentary canal is around 9 meters, whereas small intestine itself is around 7 meters in length, and it is 2.5 centimeters to 3 centimeters in diameter. Okay, now this particular small intestine is the place of maximum digestion and absorption. That means maximum digestion occurs here, and maximum absorption of the digested food is also seen here. So it is the seat of maximum digestion and absorption, and this particular small intestine has three subdivisions. They are, the first one is duodenum, second one is jejunum, third one is ileum. So duodenum is the first part, approximately 30 centimeters in length, U-shaped structure, and hepatopancreatic duct opens into it. This particular portion, this U-shaped structure is called duodenum. Pancreatic duct from pancreas and the bile duct which is coming from liver, together called hepatopancreatic duct. That hepatopancreatic duct will opens into the first part of small intestine, that is duodenum. Then jejunum is the middle coiled portion of this particular small intestine, which is approximately 2 meters in length, and it is the area where maximum digestion is observed, because it possesses the intestinal glands which secretes more number of enzymes and which helps in the process of digestion. Then ileum is the last coiled part of the small intestine, approximately 4 meters in length, and this is the area where maximum absorption of the digested food is seen. Okay, so small intestine length is around 7 meters and its diameter is 2.5 to 3 centimeters because it is small intestine, and this is the seat of maximum digestion and absorption, subdivided into 3 parts: duodenum, jejunum and ileum. Duodenum is the first part, approximately around 30 centimeters in length, U-shaped structure, and hepatopancreatic duct means pancreatic juice from pancreas and bile juice from liver will open into that particular area. Jejunum, second part is jejunum, 2 meters in length, that is the middle part of the small intestine which possesses maximum digestive glands and maximum digestion occurs here. Ileum is the last part of this particular small intestine, 4 meters in length, which possesses villi which helps in absorption of the digested food. Then this particular small intestine, the last part of the small intestine, that ileum opens into this particular area. This is called cecum. This is called cecum. So now we are in large intestine. Large intestine is approximately around 1.5 meters to 1.8 meters long. Okay, then 4 to 6 centimeters in its diameter. That's why it is large intestine. And the large intestine is also has 3 subdivisions. One is cecum, second one is colon, third one is rectum. So large intestine do not possess any digestive glands. Only maximum absorption will be seen here if any useful substances are left over still, and maximum absorption of water is seen in the case of large intestine. So it do not possess digestive glands. It is specially designed only to absorb water and remaining useful substances. Now the area where small intestine opens into large intestine is called cecum. It is a small blind pouch-like structure, and which ends with another worm-shaped structure. This is called as appendix. If there is any inflammation is seen in the case of appendix, and if there is any pain which is persisted towards the lower part, towards right side, then that is called appendicitis. So cecum is continued with colon. The second part of the large intestine is called colon. This is more than 1 meter, which is divided into ascending colon, transverse colon and descending colon. Okay, so ascending colon, transverse colon, descending colon, they are responsible for absorption of water and other useful substances. Then the last part is rectum. Rectum is the last part of large intestine, approximately around 15 centimeters in length, which is responsible to deposit the unwanted feces here. Those unwanted fecal material will eliminated outside through anus. Anus possesses circular sphincters through which the elimination of unwanted substances is seen. Okay, so this is the structure of alimentary canal, and in part 2 we are going to discuss about the physiology of digestion and various digestive glands which are associated with the elementary canal. For more updates, please subscribe my channel Aravind Educations or Aravind Biology Classes.